So we had stopped at the equilibrium constants, Kc and Kp. Equilibrium constant Kc, that is obtained by substituting the concentration terms of the products and the reactants, while equilibrium constant Kp is obtained by substituting the partial pressures of the products and the reactants. We had seen the relation between the equilibrium constants also. Kp is equal to Kc into RT raised to delta N, where delta N is the difference in the number of moles of the gaseous products and reactants. The number of moles of the gaseous products and reactants. Number of moles of the gaseous products minus number of moles of the gaseous reactants. That is equal to delta N. In some cases, delta N is equal to 0. Then Kp is equal to Kc. And that occurs when the number of gaseous molecules on both sides are equal. There may be delta N values positive or negative also. Now, from the equilibrium constant Kc, we can decide whether the reaction takes place in the forward direction or in the reverse direction. Say, for example, if the equilibrium constant Kc is a larger value, Kc is a larger value, then the forward reaction will be taking place at a greater extent, and therefore the products predominate. Uh, products predominates. Products predominate. Products predominate means the forward reaction takes place at a faster rate compared to the reverse reaction, the backward reaction. The larger value Kc means it is greater than, Kc is greater than 10 raised to 3. The value of Kc is greater than 10 raised to 3. Then the forward reaction takes place at a faster rate, and therefore the products, the forward reaction, the products predominate. If Kc is a smaller value, Kc is small, say smaller value, then the reverse reaction takes place at a faster rate. That means the reactants predominate. The reactants, backward reaction occurs at a faster rate, so the reactants predominate. Backward reaction predominates, or it increases faster, so that the reactants will be predominating in that irreversible reaction. Kc value, smaller value means it is less than 10 raised to negative 3. Kc is less than 10 raised to negative 3. Then the backward reaction takes place. While Kc is greater than 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to 3, then the forward reaction faster. Remember, Kc greater than 10 raised to 3, the order is greater than 10 raised to 3, then forward reaction faster, and therefore products predominate. While Kc less than 10 raised to negative 3, negative 3, minus 3, it is not a 10 raised to 3, it is 10 raised to negative 3, minus 3, less than 10 raised to minus 3. Then the backward reaction, the reverse reaction faster. And therefore, the reactants predominate. The products will be at a lesser extent. Suppose the Kc value is between 10 raised to negative 3 and between and 10 raised to 3 between between 10 raised to negative 3 and 10 raised to 3, then the reaction is a moderate reaction. That means there will be appreciable amount of the products as well as the reactants. There will be a measurable amount of products as well as reactants. And that's a moderate reaction. So for example, you take the reaction between hydrogen and iodine giving Hi, say H2G plus I2G, reversibly giving 2Hi, 2Hig. You take this gas phase reaction. Here the Kc
Sir,
value is found to be 57. It is 57 at 700 Kelvin. The temperature is 700 Kelvin. At
sir,
that temperature, that's the temperature.
sir, I have a doubt.
Come on.
Sir,
Come on.
what is the meaning of predominate?
Meaning of
Predominate.
predominant, more amount will be formed. There will be more amount of the products or a more amount of the reactants. When the forward reaction increases, see, when the forward reaction increases, there will be more amount of the products. The products will be formed at a greater extent. That is, what is meant by products predominate. Similarly, if a backward reaction increases, the products will be less. The reactants will be at the greater extent, higher extent. So we say the reactants predominate. Got it? All right. So
Yes, sir.
in the reaction, H2G plus I2G, reversibly giving 2HIG. Here the Kc value is a 57 at the 700 Kelvin. And this is a moderate reaction. That means it is between 10 raised to negative 3 and 10 raised to 3. Between 10 raised to negative 3 and 10 raised to 3. That is its value. So that is a moderate reaction. There will be appreciable amount of, measurable amount of both the reactants as well as the products. Okay. Now let us see the relation between Gibbs energy, the relation between Gibbs energy and equilibrium constants and equilibrium constant K, relation between Gibbs energy and equilibrium constants. I have taken K is Kc or Kp, whatever it is. That is BKC. So Gibbs energy and equilibrium constant relation. See, the relation is this. Delta G is equal to delta G0 plus RT into log K. That is the relation. Delta G is equal to delta G0 plus RT log K. Ln log, that is natural logarithm. Natural logarithm. Natural logarithm and is a ln log. That is the base is equal to E. Base is equal to E. E is equal to 2.77. Naturally, say in our practical purposes for calculations, we make use of log log, and it is to base 10. Base 10. The base is equal to 10. That is log log. If the base is equal to E, E is equal to 2.77, that is E, then that is called a natural logarithm ln. Logarithm of natural ln log. that is base E. Okay, so delta G is equal to delta G0 plus RT log K, RT log K. We can convert ln log to log log. We can convert the natural logarithm to base 10. We can convert the ln log to log log. We can see it later. And what is delta G? Delta G is the Gibbs energy change at equilibrium. That is a Gibbs energy change. Gibbs energy change. That is a G2 minus G1. G2 minus G1. G2, the Gibbs energy of the products, and the G1, the Gibbs energy of the reactants. So G2 minus G1, that is delta G. So delta G is equal to the Gibbs energy change. Then delta G0, that is standard Gibbs energy change. 298 Kelvin, 1 atmosphere pressure, and the pure state of the reactants and products. And that is a standard condition. So delta G0, that is the Gibbs energy change at standard conditions. R, you know, the gas constant, T, the Kelvin temperature or absolute temperature, and K is the equilibrium constant. But at equilibrium, delta G is equal to 0. The Gibbs energy change is equal to 0 because on both sides, that Gibbs energy value will be the same. On both sides, the Gibbs energy value will be the same. And therefore, delta G is equal to 0 at equilibrium. So, 0 is equal to delta G0 plus RT into log K. RT log K. Now you take RT log K to the left hand side. Then the equation becomes the form delta G0 is equal to minus RT log K, ln log. Delta G0 is equal to minus RT log K, where delta G0 is the Gibbs energy change at the standard conditions. Standard Gibbs energy change. Standard means a definite temperature, usually 298 Kelvin, 1 atmosphere pressure, and pure states of the reactants and the products. That is standard condition. Okay, so delta G0, the Gibbs energy change in standard conditions. Delta G0 is equal to minus RT log K. You can convert the ln log to log log. You just simply multiply by 2.303, or you get the equation delta G0 is equal to minus 2.303 RT into log log K. Log log. Log log K. That is the relation between the log log and the ln log. Log log, base 10, log log. So ln log ln log is equal to minus 2.303 log log. So delta G0 is equal to minus RT log K ln log K, or delta G0 is equal to minus 2.303 RT into log log K. You refer them in the Clark's table. Clark's table. In Clark's table, you can see both these logarithms. There will be natural logarithm as well as to base 10 logarithm, 4-digit logarithm. We make use of, for calculations, we make use of a log log, not a natural logarithm. There are two logarithms are there. You just refer. You can see that But we make use of this LOG log for calculation. Very commonly, yes, the logarithm taken is a LOG log, that is to base 10. You know the definition of logarithm? You know, you have studied that, I think. Okay, 100 is equal to 10 squared. That we know. 100 is equal to 10 squared. Now, what is log 100? Log 100 to base 10. Base 10. That is equal to 2. That is equal to 2. Log 100 is equal to 2. You studied 0, 1, 2, 2. Log 100 is equal to 2. What is the meaning of this? Logarithm of a number, logarithm of a number to a given base, this is the base, to a given base is the power, the power to which the base is raised to get the number. That is logarithm. The definition of the logarithm is this. The definition of the logarithm is this. Logarithm of a number, for example, here 100, to a given base that is equal to 10 is the power to which the base is raised to get the number. That is logarithm. And here the base is a 10. So LOG log to base 10. LOG log of 100 is equal to 2 because the base 10 is raised to the power 2. There you get the number 100. So logarithm of 100 to base 10 is equal to 2. That's the definition of a logarithm. In ln log, the base taken is e, small e, small e. That is coming from the term Euler. That is coming from the term Euler. Euler, E-U-L-E-R, Euler. It's Euler. The pronunciation is Euler. Yes, pronunciation is Euler. Euler, the very just direct English pronunciation, it is Euler. Euler. It's Euler. Okay. From that we have E. And the value is equal to 2.77. Instead of 10, the value will be, the base will be 2.77. Then that is L and log. For more details, you just refer the Clark's table. Clark's table, not simply the two-page logarithm table given to you. Note that. You use the Clark's table. In the Clark's table, you can see all types of logarithms. Okay. Now you come back to Gibbs energy. So Gibbs energy change delta G is equal to delta G0 plus RT log K, where delta G0 is the standard Gibbs energy change, or the usual term, that's our the gas constant, T absolute temperature, and K is the equilibrium constant. But at equilibrium, delta G, that is change in Gibbs energy, is equal to 0. And therefore, the equation can be rearranged as delta G0 is equal to minus RT ln log K, or delta G0 is equal to minus 2.303 RT log log K. LOG log K. For simplification and calculations, you can make use of this equation. That is minus 2.303 RT into LOG log K. That is the relation between the Gibbs energy and the equilibrium constant. We need these equations for the second year also. Second year we have to study all these terms again. Now you just come to the equilibrium condition. At equilibrium, what all terms are equal to 0. Say at equilibrium, delta U is equal to 0. At equilibrium, delta H is equal to 0. At equilibrium, delta S is equal to 0. At equilibrium, delta G is equal to 0. All these differences will be zero at equilibrium. Equilibrium, equal forces, suppose in that sense. So at equilibrium, delta U is equal to zero, delta H is equal to zero, delta S is equal to zero, delta G is equal to zero. All these differences will be zero at equilibrium. Okay. So that's about the relation between Gibbs energy change and equilibrium constant. Now let us go to the Le-Chatelier principle. The Le-Chatelier principle. Le-Chatelier. Chatelier. Chatelier principle. Le-Chatelier principle. Le-Chatelier principle governs an equilibrium reaction, an equilibrium change. At equilibrium, we know the rates of the forward and backward reactions will be equal. The reaction is going on, the reaction progresses, but the rates are equal. So there is no appreciable change, no visual change in the concentrations. The concentrations of the reactants remain the same. The reactants of the products remain the same. And we feel that. Say, remember, we feel that the reaction is stopped. The reaction is not stopped, it is going on. It is still going on, just like the tug of war. Tug of war. See, on both sides, the pulling force equal. Pulling force equal, tug of war. Then what happens? Say, you can remain there without any movement, without any change in the balance position. You can remain there because the two opposing forces are equal. Similarly here, the change is going on, the reaction is going on, but at the same rate. So the reaction seems to be stopped. And that is the equilibrium condition. Now let us see the Le-Chatelier principle. An equilibrium is governed by certain variables like concentration, pressure, and temperature. So the factors which affect an equilibrium are concentration. One is concentration of the reactants, concentration. Second, pressure for gas phase reactions. Pressure is a say that is having appreciable role when there is a gas phase reaction. If the reaction is a liquid phase, or if the reaction is a solid phase, there is no effect for pressure. Pressure has effect, pressure has role only when there is gas phase reaction. So concentration, pressure, and temperature. So these are the three main factors which affect an equilibrium. So an equilibrium in a reversible change, an equilibrium is at the equilibrium with respect to concentration, pressure, and temperature. Now, if you change any one of these variables, that is, you change the concentration, or you change the pressure, or you change the temperature, then what will happen to the equilibrium? The equilibrium adjusts itself. The equilibrium adjusts itself so as to cancel the change in the variables. If any one of the variables like concentration, pressure, and temperature is changed, that is changed by us, we are going to change the concentration. We are going to change the pressure. We are going to change the temperature. Okay. So if any one of the variables like concentration, pressure, and the temperature at equilibrium is changed, then the equilibrium adjusts itself. The equilibrium adjusts itself. So as to annul, so as to cancel the change in the equilibrium. So if temperature, pressure, or concentration is changed at equilibrium, then the equilibrium adjusts itself so as to cancel, so as to annul, so as to nullify the change in the constraints, the change in the variables. The change is brought about by us, but the nullification is done by the system itself. Itself, the equilibrium changes itself. So, according to Le Chatelier principle, if any one of the variables like concentration, pressure, or temperature is changed, the system adjusts itself to nullify, to cancel the change in any of the variables. According to Le Chatelier principle, if concentration or pressure or temperature is changed at equilibrium, then the equilibrium adjusts itself to cancel the effect of the change in the concentration, pressure, or temperature. That is the statement of a Le Chatelier principle. Say the factors on which an equilibrium exists are concentration, pressure, and temperature. Now, if any one of these factors, concentration, pressure, or temperature, is changed, then the equilibrium adjusts itself to cancel the effect of the change in the variables, and that is the Le Chatelier principle. Now let us apply Le Chatelier principle in various say reactions. What happens to the equilibrium when concentration of the reactant is changed? What happens to the equilibrium when pressure is changed? What happens to the equilibrium when the temperature is changed? Let us take the concentration term first. The effect of concentration, change in concentration. Say we are going to change the concentration of the reactants at equilibrium. Then what will happen to the equilibrium? That means whether the forward reaction increases or the backward reaction increases. You can see that when concentration of the reactant is increased, concentration concentration is increased, concentration of the reactant is increased, then the forward reaction will increase. The forward reaction will increase. And the formation of the product is increased. The product is increased. Product is increased. That is the application of a Le Chatelier principle with regard to a change in concentration. We are going to change the concentration of the reactants. Here, you increase the concentration of the reactant. The concentration of the reactant is increased. Then the forward reaction will increase and the product is increased and vice versa. That means when concentration of the reactant is decreased, concentration of the reactant is decreased, the backward reaction increases, the reverse reaction increases, and the product is decreased. Formation of the product is decreased. That is what is happening. Let us take, for example, a reaction between ferric ion Fe plus 3 Fe plus 3 solution, aqueous. Fe plus 3 aqueous. Ferric solution, ferric chloride solution, for example, aqueous. That is yellow in color. And to this you are going to add, say for example, sodium thiocyanate or potassium thiocyanate. Then thiocyanate, SCN minus 1, that is thiocyanate, solution aqueous, and there is an equilibrium established. And at equilibrium, there is Fa, yes, C, yes, Cn, yes, Cn, there is a yes, Cn, yes, Cn, yes, Cn, and the charge will be plus 2. Charge is plus 2. That is ferric thiocyanate ion is formed. And this is blood red in color, deep red or blood red in color. FeSCN plus 2 complex. That complex is blood red in color. While Fe plus 3 aqueous, that is yellow or yellowish brown. This is yellow or yellowish brown. Then thiocyanate, SCN minus, SCN minus, that is colorless. So we are going to add SCN minus into Fe plus 3 solution, perchloride solution, for example. Then there is formation of a blood red color. And you keep it for some time, an equilibrium is established. That is a reversible change. There will be a definite intensity for the red color. Now, this is the equilibrium. Now, you add a small amount of ferric chloride solution into this. You are going to add ferric chloride solution, FeCl3 solution is added into this mixture, into this equilibrium. Then what happens? We can see that the intensity of the blood red color increases. The blood red coloration increases. The intensity increases. Why? Because there is more and more the FeCN minus FeCN plus 2 complex is formed. The intensity is increased because more ferric thiocyanate complex is formed. Why is it so? The reason is this. When ferric chloride is added, ferric chloride ionizes. It ionizes, giving Fe plus 3 ion and chloride ion. So when ferric chloride solution is added, say more Fe plus 3 ions are added. That means concentration of Fe plus 3 increases. Then when FeCl3 is added, FeCl3 solution is added, concentration of Fe plus 3 increases. Fe plus 3 is the reactant. Concentration of the reactant Fe plus 3 increases. And so the product increases. The product increases. Product is the blood red colored compound. It increases. And therefore, the intensity of the blood red color increases. The forward reaction increases and the blood red coloration is increased. So when concentration of the reactant is increased, the forward reaction increases and the product is increased. In general, at equilibrium, when concentration of the reactant is increased, then the concentration of the product will be increased. A change in concentration of the reactant is done by us. And the increase in concentration of the product, that is done by the equilibrium itself. We are changing the concentration of the reactant Fe plus 3. And that change is nullified by increasing the concentration of the product, that is Fe SCN plus 2 complex. And so the forward reaction increases, the blood coloration increases. So you come back when concentration of the reactant is increased, at equilibrium is increased, then the forward reaction increases and the product is increased. For example, into the equilibrium of Fe plus 3 and the SCN minus 1, reversibly giving Fe SCN plus 2, blood red colored complex. If you add ferrichloride solution, then concentration of Fe plus 3 is increased. Concentration of the reactant Fe plus 3 is increased. So the forward reaction increases and the product is increased. The product is the blood red colored complex. Since the forward reaction increases, the blood red coloration also increases. The product increases and the blood red coloration increases. Now you take another change. Say here we have Fe plus 3 aqueous, then plus SCN minus 1 aqueous, and reversible change Fe SCN plus 3, say plus, not a plus 3, plus 2, and this is blood red colored. Now, into this equilibrium, you add a small amount of oxalic acid. Small amount of oxalic acid is added. Oxalic acid is added. Oxalic acid is H2C2O4. Oxalic acid present in tomato. Oxalic acid present in tomato, present in bilimbi fruit. Bilimbi fruit, Irimbambuli. Bilimbi fruit, oxalic acid is there. You are given a project to estimate the amount of the acid content in bilimbi fruit. In bilimbi fruit, there will be oxalic acid. It has got a sour taste, and that is mainly due to oxalic acid, H2C2O4, present in the bilimbi fruit, Irimbambuli. Okay, so you add oxalic acid into this equilibrium. Then what happens? The blood red coloration, it slowly fades. The blood red color, it fades. Why? Because when oxalic acid is added, what happens? Oxalic acid reacts with Fe plus 3 ions, Fe plus 3 plus C2O4 minus 2, giving a complex. The complex is Fe C2O4 3 times, then negative 3. This complex is formed. Fe plus 3 present in the solution, present in the mixture. It reacts with the oxalate. This is an oxalate ion forming this complex. A complex is formed. And due to this formation, this complex, Fe C2O4 3 times negative 3 complex, the concentration of Fe plus 3, see here, concentration of Fe plus 3 decreases. Concentration of the reactant decreases, and therefore the product decreases. Backward reaction increases, the product decreases, and therefore the blood red color fades. It decreases. The blood red coloration decreases or fades. So we can generalize this as when at equilibrium, concentration of the reactant concentration of the reactant is increased. Concentration of the reactant is increased. The forward reaction increases and the product increases. When concentration of the reactant decreases, the backward reaction increases. The reverse reaction increases and the product decreases. More reactants will be formed. So the product decreases. That is in general what is happening at equilibrium. Okay, let us take one more example for this. You take a reaction between N2G plus 3H2G reversibly giving 2NH3G. You are going to manufacture ammonia. Ammonia, manufacture of ammonia. We need the product. We need this product, ammonia. It's an industrially important compound, ammonia. And this is our Haber process, the famous Haber process for ammonia. Nobel Prize winner, Haber process for ammonia. Now, so equilibrium is established, suppose. Now you increase the concentration of N2, then what happens? The forward reaction increases and more ammonia will be produced. On the other hand, you increase the concentration of H2, then also the forward reaction increases and production of ammonia increases. So it is better to have a higher concentration of a nitrogen or a hydrogen. Usually 1:3 ratio is taken. That is the equilibrium ratio, optimum ratio according to Haber. So in the Haber process, 1:3 ratio of nitrogen and hydrogen. Nitrogen and hydrogen in the ratio 1:3. There is more amount of hydrogen. The concentration of hydrogen is increased so that the forward reaction increases and production of ammonia increases. To get a better yield, a better production of ammonia, you increase the concentration of hydrogen or nitrogen also. Hydrogen. In Haber process, we make use of a higher proportion of hydrogen in Haber process to get a better yield of ammonia. So, in general, when the concentration of the reactant increases, forward reaction increases, and more products will be formed. When concentration of the reactant is decreased, backward reaction increases